Welcome back to Go Again Gaming and welcome back to round 3 of the league. That means nothing too. The stakes continue to decrease. I'm Ian. I'll be casting your game today, and today we have an interesting one. We have Carlos Gonzalez, last league's Reiner, but on new this time, taking on Aaron Merkel on Bravo. So this is an interesting game because realistically, new has a very powerful end game into Bravo, into Guardians in general. Any Terra Sunders, Macho Grandes, or anything that end up in the banish zone, exactly where New wants them, just become serious, serious threats in the end game. Now, we have seen that Aaron's Bravo deck has been very traditional, very, very defensively minded. Doesn't mean there aren't pummels, there aren't big attacks waiting there to deal some damage and try and disrupt Carlos, who will also be doing the exact same thing, trying to use tricky cards like Siren's Call to snatch an extra blue out of a hand on a dagger swing, just a nick, things like that. Stuff you're not really expecting, and things you have to try and respect as much as possible. Aaron, on the other hand, could be coming in with the defense reactions, trying to really stuff the big power from Carlos. Really, I am not entirely sure how this is out. I know, generally speaking, New is the favoured one in this matchup, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the two players have to show for it. Anyway, with that, I'll throw us over to the gameplay and we'll see what happens. Okay, and here we go. What looks like a very traditional Bravo setup. Tectonic plating, civic steps, the new Gauntlet of Iron Will, Anothos, of course, the hammer, and Crown of Providence. New tends not to be drawing a lot of cards. Balance of Justice isn't really going to get you anywhere. And on the new side of things, we have the Mask, the Tunic, the Arousing Wave, and those Stilettos. Really all powerful cards. Lets you cash in one block, and then as well, they count as two defense reactions, or two attack reactions rather, for things like Bonds of Agony and other super powerful cards. So let's see who's going first and how this matchup is going to shake out. So it looks like we've got a chokeslam pitched into tectonic plating to start off. Pretty standard stuff from the Bravo. Make sure you've got a seismic surge going first that really lets you set up your next turn. And I imagine there's a case where unless you can activate Bravo this turn, which I don't think you can, what with the red pitch, Aaron might just pass, not give New the chance to filter any cards. But then again, you never know. And here we see not taking that approach, using Go Again on this Enlightened Strike. I imagine Aaron is kind of in that spot where he wants to make sure New takes damage or gives up their entire hand if they're giving up cards, and maybe, just maybe, you'll catch them with some reactions or some instants that they wanted to hold on to. Particularly with the instants, like forcing through damage this early would be quite useful. Carlos is obviously thinking about this 5 Go Again to know what's coming after. I imagine if anything comes after this, it's just going to be something like a hammer swing, or it could also be next leveling us. He could be baiting us into that. Anyway, we've got a full block here from Carlos, and following it up with the trusty Anothos for 6. I imagine if he has them, yeah, Carlos just giving up another 2 cards, giving a 12 block this turn, no damage, filters through that hand a little bit. But it's nice to see things like those red reacts and that Just Nick go to the graveyard this early if you are Aaron. So let's see what sort of disruption or power Carlos can put together on his first turn. New might start small with like little prokes and pods from the daggers and things like that, but really that sort of stuff builds up and it never feels good when you're forced into blocking something like a spider's bite or even a beckoning mistblade with just a real card. Giving up 3 block worth of card for 1 damage doesn't always feel the best. Anyway, we have a pitch of a sacred art, which doesn't really do a whole lot in this current situation, and a beckoning mistblade. So while obviously you're only blocking one, really you're gaining multiple points of value if you block this card, because you're blocking one, you're blocking an extra one if there's another blue, and if you value go again at one, using some Michael Hamilton maths, giving go again like half a point to a full point of value, you're covering up. Really, by blocking three, you're only losing at most half a point of value, unless again we're playing that sneaky bait 'em game. And Carlos following up with an Art of Desire Mind. So this is now for two go again, thanks to that on hit of the Beckoning Mistblade. When it hits, banish the top card of their deck. Whenever it banishes a blue card, draw a card and gain a life. And now we see a Civic Steps being put in play here, giving up that armor very early. I imagine Aaron is planning that if he is here for a long time, the inevitability is going to swing vastly in New's direction, so better off keeping full hands, using your surges, using your Bravo text, pushing damage wherever possible, and trying to just take Carlos out of the game. Carlos gets his Quicken. And are we going to see any tricky reactions from the assassin? Shuffling his hands, Brian Kibler style, for those of you who are Magic the Gathering fans. Nope, we're just going to see Hurl for 3, go again, on Go Again Gaming. We are, in fact, Go Again Gaming here with 3 with double Go Again, which unfortunately for Carlos will not stack. Choosing not to pay 1 to flick that dagger, I assume. Very early in the game to start throwing daggers at your opponent. Those are really reserved for sort of the end game kill turns. So this is just 3 vanilla. I imagine Aaron just... Oh! Wait. Thinking he's given up a card here? No, it's a Fate Foreseen to cover up the 3 damage. Opting 1. And Carlos with a card left in hand. Let's see what he decides to do. I think he's just going to, close up the combat chain. Cards to the graveyard. Dagger back in place, ready to go. And now let's see what sort of hand Aaron has kept with his 3 cards. I know we saw a Starstruck there, and I think that's about, yep. So, not dominated, but it is still a Starstruck. It's still 10, and one of the more powerful crush attacks in Bravo's arsenal, especially against a deck like New. You Starstruck a KO, they don't really pay any attention to it, but New, you can't dagger, you can't use any of your small stealth attacks, you can't do a whole lot with it. So, how is Carlos going to deal with this one? I have a feeling that Aaron is going to take sort of an on-off turn kind of approach here, but he's really not valuing his arsenal. I imagine that's to do with things like leave no witnesses and command and conquers that New can play and really disrupt the arsenal. So we've got a 7 block here from Carlos. No crush. Take 3. More importantly, Starstruck's text is not in effect, which is crucial when you're an assassin, because it's not like you play a whole lot of 7, 8 power attacks that you can just take a bunch of damage from a Starstruck, Anyway, Tunic ticks up from Carlos. Card in arsenal, 2 cards in hand. Let's see what he's got. Got a big think going on anyway. Just how best to sequence this. Do I have the resources for the dagger is usually a big consideration for New. Am I better off holding things and masking my intentions? It's all about being very deceptive, very assassiny. And yet, we have another Art of Desire Mind here coming in for 1. Just 1. I have 2 cards. What could I possibly do with 2 cards? Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. And we've given up the second block on that Civic Steps already. Aaron definitely not here to hang around. The longer we mess around here, the worse this gets for him. So let's just go for it. So we're going to path well traveled, give it go again, and transcend. It's pretty good here. And let's see what we do with the chi. Are we going to activate New's ability or are we going to activate that mask? Try and snag. Yeah, activate Mask of Recurring Nightmares. Force Bravo, who wants to keep his 4-card hand here, to give up at least one of those cards. Now, again, this is a tough one because you give up one of your blues, you fuel New, but if you give up your reds, you gimp your turn. And it looks like that's a blue Thunderquake going into the Banish Zone. It's a tasty present that New might remember for later. And then we just let that resolve. Perfect. Carlos gets to keep his Quicken for next turn. So he's in a pretty good spot. That equipment is dead, so Aaron's not going to have as many options for just blocking freely now. Pitching a Crush the Weak, making a Seismic Surge, and pitching a Macho Grande Blue, sending in a Nothos. Perhaps Aaron was in a position where he had a 4 blue hand and had to give up the Thunderquake as the worst blue. I consider giving up that Crush the Weak, unless it's Crush the Weak red, in which case you never know. Carlos is looking at 6 here, but it is 6 vanilla. In the spot you're in with 4 cards in hand, card in arsenal that hasn't moved for a little while. I could very much see Carlos deciding to take this damage and just using the Quicken, using his cards, using his daggers to really send something back and start forcing Aaron into this 2-card blocks game. Because so far, we've had a real struggle getting cards out of the hand of Aaron Merkel. Yeah, Carlos saying, send me the bill. I don't fear any hammer. And then we have our card move to Arsenal. Draw 4. Pass back. New. Tunic. Quicken. 5 cards. This is going to be a decent turn here. Yeah, we'll start with the CNC with go again. That is a perfectly fine and reasonable thing to say out loud in this game of Flesh and Blood. Command and Conquer with go again. Ha! Yeah, Aaron looking like he's going to cash in that crown right away. Let's just get that one right out of here now. Yeah, blocking 5. Probably sending that Arsenal to the bottom. Oh yeah, taking 1 point of damage, I'd say. Now, let's see if Carlos has any tricks up his sleeve to go along with that Command and Conquer. Nope, just 1 point of damage. And then we move on with our lives. But more importantly, New very quickly has eaten away at the armor of Aaron Merkel. And we have a pitch of a Venomous Bite. And sending in the Beckoning Mistblade. So I wonder what these last 2 cards in Carlos's hand are. Because I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of value out of this. Yeah, we'll take 1 point of damage here. And let's see if this attack will get more value than that Beckoning Mistblade. Oh, we've got a Spider's Bite as well. Pitching a Persuasive Prognosis. Really? Interesting. Yeah, Spider's Bite lands as well. And a Codex of Frailty. Good old reliable Codex of Frailty, baby. So, Carlos going to cash it in for that Command and Conquer again. Now, it is just a vanilla 6, but we are... Oh, of course, because Aaron is crowned away, so he's going to get the Starstruck back, discard a card, and is going to be forced to either block out this Command and Conquer. Yeah, getting rid of that Sink Below, which ain't doing a whole lot. Keeping 2 cards, which you gotta imagine at least one of them and some armor is going on this Command and Conquer. So we have 6. No defense reactions. Your attacks block for 1 less thanks to that Spider's Bite. And the Beckoning Mistblade sounds like it was just a misdirect. So we've got a block of 5. Aaron getting away with this one, as we can see on screen there. Yeah, that spider's bite was in effect. Got to remember your triggers, Carlos. Drawing off the ponder, cards to the bottom, and Aaron just going to make a surge, or have his surge pop and send in an Othos for 4. For 3 even, excuse me. Thank you, Frailty. So this is an easy 1 card block here, just to keep the life totals high and send something back now. Aaron has a lot less easy access to block. Yeah, right, we're taking 28. We're going to 28, taking 3. Carlos must have something good planned here. Bravo might be in the lead right now, but I can see that sort of gap start to close as his armor gets eaten away, as Carlos starts accruing value by just doing new things. Yeah, pitch misplayed. Now let's see what Aaron decides to do here. No blocks, gets sirens called, buddy. So Aaron has to reveal his hand here. If there's a blue in it, Carlos gets to tag it as a blocking card. And that looks to me like 4 blues. So Carlos, have your pick, whatever you like. Yeah. So one of those choke slams is blocking, and Carlos gets to draw himself a card. Now we're back to 4 cards in hand, which is pretty handy. Not too bad. Why does the Thoughtseize also draw you cards? Who knows? Anyway, the spiders bite in from Carlos now. Aaron in an awkward spot, just taking the 1. 1 floating. Only 1 dagger is hit this turn, thanks to Siren's Call ensuring that it got blocked. And let's see what Carlos has to go after this one. Persuasive Prognosis. Coming in for 1. So this is such an interesting card. If the top of Aaron's deck is a blue, Carlos gets to snipe another one off the top. So yeah, we've given up the Gauntlets of Iron Will, which will reduce any pumps that Carlos might have by a total of 1. And see if Carlos has any reactions here. Looking at the 2 cards in his hand, and he does. In fact, it's just a nick. Great, great one. Gives it a +5, reduced by Gauntlets of Iron Will by 1 to give it a +4 to make it 5 whole damage. So we're going to get to banish the top card of Aaron's deck for just a nick. It's a blue. Cranial Crush, excellent. If you're Carlos, you're looking at that. And then we're going to banish another one now from Persuasive Prognosis. And it's another blue. So Carlos gets to look at Aaron's hand, snag another blue, and gain a life. And he will gain a 2nd point of life because another card from hand will get banished here. Imagine we take that other chokeslam. That's a tasty one here. Or a fun, because I don't think Crush the Weak has a whole heap of text against Bravo. So Carlos to back up to 30. The life total is getting a little bit closer, and time to tidy up. And we draw 4 and pass over. Aaron now left on 3 pieces of armor, making a seismic surge and just throwing the hammer. But that Starstruck, gotten back from the Codex and defended so well, is still just chilling in Arsenal as Carlos continues to accumulate a ton of value in that banish zone. Now let's see what Carlos has in store. Whether he's going to try and cover up some of this Anothos, or whether he's going to try and threaten Aaron back. Aaron just doing the disciplined Bravo thing of defend with what I can, send the hammer, wait for my opportunity. Good old hammer for six. Never gets old. Now let's see what we've got here from Carlos. But whatever it is, I bet there's a beckoning misplay. One, taking that last point of block off the gauntlets of Iron Will. Aaron really, really trying to hold on to the cards in his hand in this game, not wanting to give up any of them on blocks if he doesn't have to. Really just using that armor very aggressively in a way that I'm not used to seeing from Guardians. Guardians tend to hold on to their armor as best they can. And then we have an Enlightened Strike coming in here from Carlos. Mode is probably go again, what with a card in arsenal, card in hand. So we've got a 5 go again here. Blocked with a Command and Conquer, taking 2 points of damage. And pitching for a Spider's Bite, leaving 2 floating here. So whatever that is in arsenal, I imagine it's another attack. Or it's bait. Who knows? You never know with these assassin players whether they're playing on the board or not. Anyway, that's a 2 block, more armor being used. And then we're sending in the Command and Conquer. Carlos just had it anyway. So not a lot of assassin cards played here, but some very, very powerful generics. Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising staples. And Aaron, with 3 cards in hand, has to choose whether to give up 2 cards or give up on this Starstruck. And I think, to be honest, it might be time to let the dream go. If you keep your 3 cards here, you can set up a surge, swing your hammer, and stick a card in your arsenal as well. Yeah, just letting it go. Dream's dead. And Aaron now, life totals are equal. 3 cards in hand. But we do have a significant amount of that armor whittled down to just 1 point of value left. And Aaron is returning fire with trusty hammer for 4. 2 cards in hand. Could it be a pummel? Could it actually be a secret hammer for 10? Who can say? Who knows? Only Aaron right now. That sneaky hammer for 10. No one likes that. Carlos holding his 4 cards, thinking, what am I going to do? Can I take 10? We haven't seen an awful lot of transcending out of Carlos this game. Hmm. Thinking very strong, long and hard about this one now. Obviously, this represents upwards of 8 to 10 damage. But are we just going to call? Yeah, we're just going to call. Yeah, and here's the red pummel. So that should be 10 points. Yeah, 10 damages here. So I imagine Aaron has just decided he doesn't want to hang around here. We don't want to set up for a better turn. We're just going to hit him. We're going to get him, and we're going to hope that is enough. Those life totals that had just been equalized, very, very unequal again. But hey, Carlos again left with 4 cards in hand, and Aaron does not really have the option to block with that armor. That armor suite has been whittled away completely. That Guardian fridge is looking very sparse now. So let's see what Carlos has that was worth 10 damage. How do we best sequence this? Says Carlos. He's doing the classic fab player thing of putting one card face down sideways on the table. Don't believe me? Make sure you go and watch any of your friends play Flesh and Blood. You'll see it. Yeah, we'll start with an Enlightened Strike. 5 go again. It's a good start. It's a pretty standard start. And we've got a sink below from Aaron, taking 1 point of damage. That was the quickest sink below I've ever seen. Not even thinking about, like, oh, what else could be coming from this one? He's just like, no, sink it. Life total, life total, life total, life total. And then we have a pitch of what looks like a pick to pieces. For a spider's bite dealing 8 point of damage, and then leave no witnesses for 4. Now Aaron's attacks obviously block 1 less here. Aaron just taken 4. Banish the top card. It is another blue. Goes to the banish zone. No silver. Oh well, says Carlos. That is more fuel for New. If he can activate her hero text, he's got an awful lot of power sitting there. Now, with 3 cards in hand, let's see what Aaron does. He didn't sink, so obviously whatever he's got, it's got to be good. Pitching a crippling crush. Nope, it's just going to be good old fashioned hammer for 6. So we have a surge hammer play. Carlos giving up the boots. Good idea that they might get cashed in sometime soon. So that and a fate foreseen to take a single point of damage, opt 1. Go to 13. Aaron gets his arsenal. And Carlos is probably in an interesting spot now. Let's see what he has to say. Yeah, so we're going to start with a surgical extraction. Pitching a pick to pieces, floating 1. Surgical, really powerful card, contracted to banish blue cards. It's also hand attack, so he could take the best card out of Aaron's hand. He could take the blues that he needs to play his turn, whatever it is. For those who don't know, Surgical was accidentally short printed on its original release. So if you ever wonder why Surgical is the price that it is, that would be one of the many reasons. And Aaron just giving up 4 here, getting that last point of block on his Tectonic. And what's Carlos going to do here? Is he going to crack his Arousing Wave, ding an extra point of damage over? Is he going to just throw an attack reaction out of his hand here and get some value? Snag another card off Aaron. And he's using that 1 to give it go again with the Undertow Stilettos. So Undertow Stilettos, pay 1, destroy it, create a Slither. Slither is an ephemeral attack reaction. It is a token from that new set, Part the Misfell, that gives target attack action card go again. I say new set, it came out in June. We're all very tired of Part the Mistvale now. If you've encountered any Enigma, new, or Zen in your local meta, I say this as someone who's been playing a lot of Zen recently. And it seems half of my local collection has picked up some flavor of Assassin this set. Oh, and we're going to pop the tunic to get this Arousing Wave online as well to give another +1. So that is putting that up to 5. Now, does Aaron have a defense reaction that he wants to waste here? Or is he going to take the 1 point of damage and show Carlos the money? Carlos is going to take whatever he wants. Banish a pummel from the top of his deck. I imagine we snag that Tear Asunder because it's such a great card in the new late game. Yeah, there we go, Carlos, a man after my own heart. And I imagine this is a Codex of Frailty. No, it is a Stir the Pot. Having paid a blue, Oh no, Aaron, you're in trouble, my son. That stir the pot is going to get played to activate news hero text, and that Terra Sunder is going to get followed by a Thunderquake, I imagine. So we have an activation of a new Alluring Desire. As an instant, pitched she. Look at the top card. If it's a blue, you may banish it. It is a blue. It is the third Cranial Crush. And now he can play blue cards without paying their costs. So we've got a Terra Sunder and either a Thunderquake or a Cranial Crush coming in here, I'd imagine. Carlos just tidying up his board a little bit. Really cashing in those cards on like a high value play. That Terra Sunder. Nasty. So Bravo is about to get styled on. A little bit of dominate, a little bit of power here. I imagine it's either that Cranial Crush that just got banished or a Thunderquake for free. Free 9 dominate on hit, discard 2 cards. Yeah, cool, man. I didn't want these cards anyway. Yeah, so we'll block 3. Take 6. Discard our last card. We Carlos has effectively used every tool in his arsenal there to strip Aaron's hand and put himself firmly in the driver's seat in this game of flesh and blood. Tunic ticks up. Aaron is just passing, what with no cards in hand, passing straight back to Carlos, pitching a pick to pieces, sending in that misblade. God, if you're Bravo here, you're getting sick of these daggers. They're just slowly chipping away. And when you're at 10, sure, when you're at 40, 1 damage is like whatever. When you're at 9, Spider's Bite, making your attacks block less. Bravo on the deck, that's mostly attacks. So his next blue is getting. Oh, yeah, never mind. Who needs a blue? Here's a Command and Conquer. Your attacks block for 2 now. You can't defense react. Aaron just taking it, going to 2, losing an Enlightened Strike. Carlos is going to pocket a card. Aaron's keeping his 4 cards hand here. He's going to try and make something happen. Pitch a Terra Sunder. Use Bravo's activation. 1 floating. Pitch 2 more blues. And send in a Starstruck. So if you're Carlos here, you need a defense reaction and you need it bad. So again, now Aaron might be able to turn the tide on Carlos here with this Starstruck. Because basically, aside from Command and Conquer, none of New's attacks will be very playable under this. Carlos just giving up a sink below. And another sink below. Talk about having it all, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, I'll take 2. Sound. Thanks for playing. Now those daggers represent 50% of Bravo's health. He can only really afford to take 1 more. And then he has to start giving a full card to every dagger. Carlos firmly in the driver's seat here, sending in a misblade for 1 go again. Oh, come on. Yeah, straight up. Here you go. Don't need it. Please don't hit me again. Sending in another dagger. Floating 2, 2 cards in hand. Aaron is in the Kadachi lock. And now whatever Carlos has left. Thanks for playing, Aaron. Yeah, I'll go get this Command and Conquer with these 2 resources I have conveniently floating. Aaron will probably grab something that doesn't matter overly because he's going to have to ditch one of his cards, his 2 cards. And we've got Command and Conquer coming in here for 6. Aaron has 1 card in hand. And he is going to die. Yeah. And there it is. Whoa! What an amazing play from Carlos Gonzalez on New Alluring Desire. Such a powerful hero. And Aaron did the best he could. He started off really, really strong. Had a couple of points where it looked like he was able to turn things around. Um, but that hit of the terrace under of the banish combined with the cranial crush combined with the new activation is just good night. I know some of my local Guardian players just sideboard out Terra Sunder and will play with less blues because it is such a tough to try and win when you have Terra Sunder in play. There's not a whole lot you can do. You just have to hope they don't have it. So commiserations, Aaron, but congratulations, Carlos. What a win. Winning in absolute style, giving that Bravo a taste of his own medicine. Build your own crippling crush. Why not? Congratulations, guys. What a game. It's great to see more premier Flesh and Blood gameplay. All for nothing, just for the love of the game, Flesh and Blood. And I mean, that's why we're all here. That's why Go Again Gaming exists. That's why I'm here casting. Um, so, without further ado, into the YouTube pleasantries. Please make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, you tell Az what a great job he's doing on the league. I'm just talking about it. He's gone out there, he's organized it, he's put these all together, he's editing everything. He is making my ramblings uh, look coherent over the game we watched. So yeah, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, you tell Az about how great this is. Give your props to the two players for going out there. It's not an easy thing to play on camera in front of everyone, knowing that you're going to be broadcast like that. So, well done, guys, as well. If you are looking to find me, you can find me on Twitter at finals_spirit. I am usually talking about either gym or Flesh and Blood. A lot of Flesh and Blood. So I will see you there, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.